right? So in this course, we'll look in detail about the need for the maintenance and how we can enhance the performance of structure by doing the regular maintenance, and if required, to do the rehabilitation of the structure. And the course structure would be, I will have a mid-semester pattern. This I will change. The assessment would be like mid-semester, so 30 marks, and then assignments. So you will be asked to submit one or two written assignments and then one project. And that I have to decide yet because you are in 120 strength. So the allotting project and assessing the project presentation would be difficult. So I'll just work on this assignment pattern and I'll let you know if there is any change. But generally, this is how you will be asked to submit one or two written documents and then one project presentation. So will be allotted in a group of 4 or 5 to look at the assigned project, and then surprise quizzes will be conducted, you know, 4 weeks once or 3 weeks once, or at the end of every module. So best of three surprise quizzes will be taken, and there will not be any compensation quizzes for surprise quiz. And for most of all, it will not be a surprise quiz because I'll be informing you before itself. Like tomorrow we will be having a quiz, so that will be for 10 marks, or it would be for 5 marks, but the timing would be for 10 marks only, MCQ type or a short answer type, right? And then end semester is for 30 marks. And most importantly, since it is going to be since this is a theory subject, and mostly we focus on the practical aspects, I want the class session to be interactive so that it'll be easy and helpful for both ends. So before getting into that, these are like some one of the like significant projects that we are looking in India for enhancing its infrastructure and its
And
construction growth. Yeah.
your voice is breaking in between.
Sorry, my internet is weak today, maybe because of that. I'll just try to manage now. Is it better now?
Yeah, okay.
All right, thank you. So here I have just shown you the significance of construction boom in our country, right? So India is a growing country and which faces a lot of deals with a lot of infrastructure projects. So it could be like the highways, seaports, airports, residential and commercial buildings, and urban and rural projects. We have lot of government projects allotted for enhancing the infrastructure facilities in our country, and the main aspects are like constructing roads and bridges in highways, seaports, airports, and then one of the main project is that housing for all scheme. So this was initially intended to complete by 2020, and now it has been postponed to complete by at least 2022. So we are going to invest a lot of money. We are going to invest a lot of materials for meeting the demand and the construction growth of our life. So when we do such things, it's very important to keep them safe for a long period. So once you construct your structure, it is expected to serve for at least 50 plus years. And if you are constructing a huge infrastructure project, then it is expected to serve for at least 100 plus years. So the structure that you are going to construct is going to stand for several decades. So when we have such significance of structures, it is very important for them to stay safe without much maintenance and repair. It means like we do regular maintenance just to check the condition of the structure, and if required, we need to fix then and there so that it will stay for longer period. So it will not require much maintenance in the later stage. So you can reduce the number of repair work involved in the structure by doing the regular maintenance of your structure. And here is another scenario which tells the data involved in the bridge structures sectors. So recently, the survey was conducted to know how many bridges being built or how many bridges that we have in our nation. So the survey says we have about 1.7 lakh bridges. So this was reported by Indian Bridge Management System program that comes under the Ministry of Road Transport and Highways. But these are like counted bridges. There could be a lot of bridges which is not counted as well. So in that case, the number would be even more than this, and that is a significant number. And among these bridges, we have found that about 6,000 bridges are structurally distressed. What does it mean, structurally distressed? So what does it mean by structurally distressed, or what did you understand by the word structurally distressed?
Ma'am, when the structure loses its strength due to like lack of maintenance and all.
Yeah. So that is one of the definitions that you can call for structural distress. But the main, the actual term is that the structure could not take the load or that is overloaded. So many of these bridges will be constructed in the late 50s or 60s, 1960s, and the demand demands for such structures during those periods would be different than what we have. So there are structures that is still standing, which was constructed about 50 years before. So now the growth, the traffic volume, or the demand growth has increased significantly. So the structure might not able to take the demand for the current practices. So in such cases, the structure is overstressed than what it can take. So that is what it is meant as structurally distressed. So usually we design the structure for certain design load, but we over design the structure anticipating the factors that can influence the load carrying capacity, right? So that would be increased significantly. So the design load might have been crossed. So the demand, usually the capacity has to be higher than the demand. So now the capacity has come the lower side and demand has increased on the other hand. So the structure becomes so distressed. So that is what here it is meant as structurally distressed. And this is based on the data that we obtained from the survey, but in the actual scenario it could be more. So if this is the case for structures, and there are a lot of buildings available without any account of such things, so this gives you as a signal that our structures need to be taken care periodically, and we have a Herculean task of maintaining the existing concrete infrastructure, and at the same time building new ones with durability and corrosion resistance in consideration. So I will tell the importance of durability and corrosion resistance in the due course as we move along, because those are the things that significantly affects the performance of the structure in a long term, right? And there are a lot of reasons why our concrete structures gets repaired, and the reasons are split up here. So the survey says about 16% could be incorrect diagnosis of the cause of the initial damage or deterioration of the structure. So when the it is not possible to construct a perfect structure or defect free structure. So when we construct the structure, over the time the structure will experience certain defects, or it may experience certain degradation. But it is very important to notice that and fix a solution for those problems. So here the point is that the incorrect diagnosis, that means, so the cause for the repair would be some other reason, but the identification, the solution given would be for some other reason. So it is like you have a headache and you're going for the checkup, and instead of the headache you have given the prescription for cold or some other reasons, but your but at the end you will not be solved, right? So that issue will not be fixed, but the structure will be diagnosed for certain reasons. So this is exactly the same. So the incorrect diagnosis of the cause of the initial damage or deterioration of the structure, so that could be the main reasons for failure of concrete in the long run. And then inappropriate design of intervention or repair works, right? So that is one of the main reason which causes the failure of the structure. So the design should be taken care properly for meeting the required performance of your structure. Another thing is that the specifications that we follow. So we have standard methods, standard specifications prescribed by international and national codes. So we need to know whether we are using the proper specification for a particular application or not. If you are just randomly using some specifications given by the codes without knowing its implication, then that will affect your structure. So that is what it is mentioned as inappropriate specification. And at the same time, you need to choose the right material for the required construction. So the choice of material plays a huge role in meeting the performance of your structure. So if you choose inappropriate material, or if you follow inappropriate specifications, then that will lead to failure of your concrete. And then the poor workmanship. So constructing the structure plays a major role. So because the workers who are there on the site, so they are going to play a huge role in maintaining the quality of the structure, right? Actually, site engineers, they just go and supervise the work, and then the layman's, they do the work at the site. So they should know they should basically be aware of their work, and if something goes wrong, they should know how that will affect the structure. So it is very important for a site engineer to monitor the progress of the workmanship in the site to ensure the quality of the work. Unfortunately, many of the sites were not be monitored, and they lead to poor workmanships, and thus the quality of construction becomes poor at the end. And there are other factors which could affect the failure of concrete. So that comes under the 12%. Here you can see in detail about what are the causes of distress in concrete buildings. So can you list out what are the things that could cause degradation or damage in a structure? So you might have seen or noticed in your buildings, right? So there are a lot of buildings surrounded near to your place, or even in your home. In your own houses, you might have seen a lot of degradation or minor damages and all. So can you list out what could be the reason for such things, or what type of damages that you have observed so far?
Mainly cracking.
Cracking, yeah. So what the reasons for the such crackings? What could be the reasons for such crackings? You can see minor cracks, and then structural cracks,
Ma'am, improper mix
non-structural
design.
cracks, improper mix design, yeah,
Improper curing.
improper curing, yes,
And corrosion attack.
corrosion attack, yeah.
And
Shear
creep.
failure.
Sorry,
Shear failure.
shear failure. So the loading conditions, or that comes under the structural cracking. So basically, two things will govern the performance. One is the material that we are using, and the quality of materials that we will be using in the construction. Another one is the structural loading condition of the mainly the loading condition of the structure. right? So the mechanical and the durability performance of your structure. So the material mainly the material that you will be using. So that mainly governs both mechanical performance of your structure as well as the durability performance of your structure. The loading conditions that mainly influences the mechanical performance of your structure, and then the exposed condition of your structure. So that is influenced by the durability properties of your structure. If your structure, the material that you are using is durable enough for meeting the exposed condition, then it will stay for longer duration. So you can see the first reason. So the significant causes would be extreme load conditions, and then you have poor material selection, so that will affect the performance, and then the quality of concrete that you use. So that comes under like the inappropriate mix design that you use. So the poor quality of concrete, so that is about 15 percentage. And then if you are using a reinforced concrete structures, the cover depth that you are going to provide, that plays a significant role. So the lower cover, if you are providing if the cover thickness is not adequate, then that will affect the performance of your structure. So that is about 12 percentage. And then poor detailing, so this is about your design aspect of the structure, how much reinforcement has to be given for taking the loads. So that poor detailing will affect your structure, that could cause distress in your structure. And then poor workmanship and following wrong specifications. And most cases, like water is an enemy for structures. So if water gets in contact with the concrete, and that will start initiating certain reaction, and that will lead to degradation of your structure over the time. And inadequate detailing, so this poor detailing plays the quality of the detailing, and inadequate detailing, it mainly governs the design part of your detailing. All right. So this was the picture I was showing in the title slide. So this structure got collapsed due to the shady construction and the use of substandard materials, and they didn't follow any of the regulations that has to be followed for constructing this structure. And these are like another examples, so which shows the a risk is a function of both probability and the consequences of failure. So that means, you can look at here the risk involved, and then how significant that will affect the performance. So that comes under the consequences of failure. So especially when we talk about reinforced concrete sector, the corrosion of the rebar, so that plays a major role in causing such failures. Okay, so what we need to do is we need to monitor the performance of the structures. In this building, you can see a lot of rebars were exposed due to corrosion. So literally there is no concrete in this building and all. So that will lead to collapse of the structure over the time when it is still under functioning. And here is another example where the bridge structure got collapsed. So what this indicates is the corrosion management team is missing, and because of that, it perceived risk is low. And if we have a proper managing team, and if we may monitor our structures regularly, then the risk involved in the failure can be reduced. If it is not maintained properly, the actual risk could be even higher. And this emphasize the importance of maintaining your structure and mainly monitoring your structure, especially when you know that it is started degrading, or when something is not is in good condition to perform. There are other so in this case, the So the building, if there is no one, then it will not be a significant failure. Whereas if people are staying inside and if some lives were lost, then the consequences will be significantly high, and these consequences will be even more high in the sectors like when you have offshore platforms, when you have manufacturing units or planets, when you have oil and gas pipelines. So in this industry, so the maintenance plays a huge role. If something goes wrong, then the failure will be a disaster which affects a lot of life as well as the environment as well. So the corrosion management team is in place because the perceived and actual risk here are higher comparing to the commercial building or the residential building. So the sectors like this, so this plays like this involves a huge risk, and then the consequence of failure will also be higher. All right. So the over the time we will be discussing about the lot of failures of the structures and what are the significant causes and reasons for such failures, and what would be the remedy to fix the problem. So the solution for those problems, right? So this is the foundation for this course. You should be you have the basic for this course. The core courses are construction materials, structural analysis and design, concrete technology. So we'll be looking at the premature structural and material failures, and then the need for the quality repair, and yeah. So the end of this, we should able to like generate lot of specialists who can handle and who can look at concrete structural repairs, and we should able to provide the solution for such structural issues. All right. And these are the modules involved in this course. First, we'll be looking at a brief introduction to the importance and the performance of construction materials that we use in industry. And then we'll look at basics of embedded metal corrosion and deterioration of cementitious systems. I hope all these three will have already covered in your concrete technology in detail. So I will not be touching those things in detail, but just to recollect things, and as an extension of those things, I'll add a few application related things which gives you an idea about the cementitious systems and the importance of construction materials, and the reinforcement that we use in concrete, use in construction, how that plays a role in enhancing the performance of structure. And then all these three thing basically deals with the material part of your structure, and then I will be looking at the assessment of the structure. So this basically indicates the condition of your structure. So that is why it is called condition assessment. So you can do certain tests in the existing test in the existing structures to know at what condition is to know the condition of the structure. So there are a lot of test methods available, non-destructive test as well as the destructive test methods. So we'll be looking at those test methods in detail and how we can get results from those methods to know the condition of the structure. And once we know the condition of the structures, depending on its condition, we need to fix a repair strategy and what type of materials that we need to use for enhancing the performance. So those things comes under the module 5, strategies and materials for surface repair. And then how do you do the repair? So what are the precautions or preparations required for the repair work? So the surface preparation. And once you do the repair, it is also important to protect the repair. So the protective treatment should also be given for minimizing the repair work in the later stage. And then waterproofing and concepts on structural repair. So these are the brief outline of this course. So in embedded metal corrosion, we look at the basic things of how your steel is corroding and what are the different types of reinforcement that we can use for enhancing the performance, and how this corrosion mechanism will differ for different types of reinforcement that we use in the construction, right? And in the second module, when we look at deterioration mechanism of cementitious systems, so this basically, this schematic here that you are looking at, so it demonstrates the importance of both materials that we use in construction commonly, that is steel and concrete, right? So we need to have a balance between these materials that we use in reinforced concrete structures, then only we will meet the required durability performance. So the previous module, so that will deal with the things involved with steel with enhanced resistance against corrosion, and in the second module that deals with the importance of covercrete to enhance the resistance against the deleterious materials. So the basic mechanism or the degradation that affect in concrete. So here you can see trinket needles that is formed, and then this is a sewer pipe constructions where you can expect acid attack, and here you have fire attack. So depending on the condition or the environmental situation, your concrete behaves differently, and you need to understand how the concrete behaves in different atmospheric or environmental condition to know its repair strategy. All right. So here you can see the different cracks that could form in the concrete structures due to various reasons. So that could be structural cracks, that could be non-structural cracks, that could be due to the exposure to environmental condition. Here you can see a lot of cracks formed on the slab surface due to the exposed condition. So that will be subjected to varying temperature and humidity. So this will lead to plastic shrinkage. And similarly here, when you have restrained condition, that will lead to thermal and drying shrinkage. So thermal and drying cracks, and you have a like if there is no restrainment, and if it is subjected to evaporation, then that will lead to drying shrinkage, and you have a shear cracks near the support of your structure. And depending on the loading conditions, you will be having tension cracks and compression cracks on the columns, and there will be cracks in the joints due to the restricted movement of elements between them. So all these things we will look in detail in the module. And the next module is the condition assessment module. So here basically we do um, assess the condition of the existing structure using non-destructing test methods, and some if required. So basically here you can see these are non-destructive test methods on the right side, and left side you can see certain test equipments which has a test sample taken from the existing structure itself. So you can destruct the structure in a small scale, and you can take a small piece of concrete samples from the structure to know the condition of the structure. So you can do the testing here. So this is called as destructive test, and there are a lot of test methods available under this category. So we will look all those different test methods in this module, and then we will look in detail about the strategies and the materials that we can use for surface repair, and what are the mechanisms that we have to look at for selecting the repair, especially the properties of the materials that we have to use for choosing the materials. Then the next module basically governs the surface preparation and protective treatment. So this is to ensure the good repair work, and then to prevent further repair work, to reduce the number of repair works in the future. And then waterproofing of concrete, it is to prevent water ingress in the concrete to avoid any degradation mechanism that deals with water. And then here, it's a concept of structural repair. So when you have a bridge structure, it is not easy to repair the bridge structure, or it is not easy to reconstruct the bridge structures, right? So you have such a long huge structure, and many places that would be the connecting structure for across the different important places which has a significant traffic flow. So reconstructing will take several years, and redirecting those traffic volume will also be difficult, especially when you have the bridges in urban places. So what you can do in such cases is that you can enhance the capacity of the structure. Enhancing in the sense, like I already mentioned, if the bridge is constructed for 50 years, now the demand for that bridge has been increased significantly. So the capacity might have been come in the lower end and demand will be in the higher end, right? So now to meet the demand, you have to increase the capacity of your structure. So there are a lot of ways available without demolishing or without reconstructing your bridges. You can significantly enhance the capacity of your bridges. So there are a lot of repair strategies available for such capacity enhancement as well. So in the last module, we'll deal with what are the ways in which we can enhance the capacity of the structure. Right. This is one of the international standards which gives you the specification details about this repair and rehabilitation. It's a code for requirement, especially which gives you specifications how to evaluate and repair and rehabilitate the concrete structures. So it is a good practices book for an engineer to follow to evaluate and design and to select the good quality construction materials. And this also specifies you how to do site inspection for condition assessing of your structure. Right. And another thing is like technical report writing. So whatever, so most of these details when you are working in a site, so you will be asked to report in a document, right? And many of these construction deals with litigation work also. So if your construction is not good and later some person will come and they put a file, a case saying that the engineer involved in this construction didn't do his work properly and they have used poor construction materials and so on. So in that case there will be a legal party, and then they may ask experts in the field to do the quality check in the site, and those has to be documented in a proper manner so that when it is required it will be referred. And if you involved in this project and if you have done everything perfectly, if you have documented it, that will be a good proof of your work with the result that you have obtained in the inspection or the quality check that was done. So that is why it is very important to do the reporting whatever that you have done in the site. Maybe after 10 years or 20 years it may be helpful for you to have a quick reference to justify your point. So there are a lot of litigation work that has been taken care, saying that the construction quality is not good, and the materials used were sent for the testing, and that would be reported and saying that the substandard materials were used, so the structure has failed. So then it comes to you saying that you didn't do the proper work. So to avoid all these things, it's always important that you have done the work properly, so you have document your work. And whenever it is not only just starting of your work, whenever you do any work, it is very important to document that work so that it acts as a proof in a later stage. Whenever you need, you can just submit your report saying that this is what it is done. And each and every step has to get approved when you do a construction work. So if the if the approving authority has signed it, then it goes back to them, not to you. So that is why we do a lot of reporting and documenting in the entire construction process itself. So in this course also, that is why I generally give a project as one of the assignments so that that will be a good practice for you to learn how to document the actual problems in the site in a proper manner. So in general, when we do a repair work, so we go to the site, we observe all the damages that we can look at visually, and then we report that. Then it goes to the next stage to condition assess the structure, and you go to the site and do the test and you report that. And then it comes to the strategy development, and you fix the strategies based on the condition, and then the based on the required performance. So you can plan your strategies and you can report what strategies that you are suggesting, and that will be suggested in the site, and the repair work will be carried out accordingly. All right. And this is a textbook that I use in this course. It is by Engineer Peter E. Emanson, the concrete repair and maintenance. And this is the person who wrote this book, and we got to meet him in one of the conferences. So we had this group photo, and you can see this is a group in which I work with in IIT Madras, and he is a Professor Pillai. He teaches this subject. He is my PhD guide. So most of the content for this courses would be from his course called Repair and Rehabilitation of Concrete Structures. And I worked as one of the TAs, teaching assistants, with him for more than 4 5 years. So most of the contents were prepared by me and other co-TAs for this course. All right. So I just give this activity for you to do. So what I suggest is, so just list some 5 commonly observed repair issues or damages in the structures at your surroundings, and if possible, provide. No, you can just provide. So if you have observed, you should be able to provide the possible causes for the issue. It no need to be the exact or correct causes, but so whatever that you think the possible causes for the issue, you can list out those things. So we will have a discussion in the class as we move on. All right.